So to test the concept of a webinar studio, the first thing we wanted to do was to test that the whole concept would work without too much investment. You may well know my Scottish background, so I like to do things at high value, low cost. And that started off with the green blanket legend that's now become an LGNZ legend that we got round to one of the local op shops. Got a $6 blanket, and just behind me was the blanket went up. We tested the space, the physical space, to make sure the space was going to work, and I used my own phone and laptop just to basically to start to drive it. So the first initial concept was to see whether the ability to build our own studio and start to capture our own content was going to be feasible given the space that we had. Lighting was reasonably good, and as I started to basically test the setup, the quality of what was captured was quite incredible. And you're going to cut now to a brief example, just a visual shot of what we captured then as our first run, and that was nothing more than a $6 blanket and using existing resources. And from that first step, I thought we would be able to build the concept of a studio that the team would get to know, get comfortable with, and to start to drive the whole vision going forward. So that was step one. So after we understood that was a real possible, and yep, we could build it all together, the second step of investment was really to say, well look, you know, as an interim step, what's the minimum level of bootstrapping that we can do? This is a way of taking the next level of setup to say that what's the next step from my iPhone onto a bigger platform. And Scott set me a great challenge, which was to pitch and present a video to the National Council. I think it was the December meeting of the National Council last year. Scott can correct me there. But the next step up was to see what next level of investment would be, and you know, these things are really important, but the camera we're using now, which I have shown you previously, but the camera that we managed to get at a stunning price is a 4K digital production quality camera. And what 4K means is that you actually have the ability not just to capture incredibly high resolution detail, so this is capturing me in detail and everyone who gets recorded in really good quality digital detail, but you can actually use it as if it's 2 or 3 cameras, so you can capture content from a distance, and then in post-production, when you're working in our studio next door to the capture room, what Joseph and the team can do is actually zoom in on individual shots, be it presenter topics on screen, or even mini conferences where we can capture speakers from a distance and post-produce the visual shots to make it look like we're right up close. So what we then did as the initial stage of the professional setup, which is what I would call where our studio is now. We're now at professional grade capture, so we know that the digital capture, we know that the camera optics are the best in class within our level of budget. We know that moving from Camtasia Studio to the VMAX suite that Campbell has instigated for us. Now I won't go through the detail of Camtasia of VMAX, but the next screenshot is VMAX Pro that Joseph uses, and what that gives us is a much better platform to manage interviews, both one-on-one, which is what Joseph and I are doing now, but also, you know, two to two. So the next screenshot is of, for instance, Joseph and Tash practicing with VMAX Studio, where we're not using a CNN, obviously digital background that's going to give the game away within a second of the audience viewing it, but actually how do we incorporate the LGNZ environment that, you know, our members and elected members are very comfortable with and we're very proud of. So what the team are now doing is using this technology, you know, the hardware and the software, to really build a production suite that is visually distinctive as local government New Zealand. That's what we want. You know, the BBC newsrooms that we're really used to seeing, or I'm used to seeing in my VPN back to the UK or, One News, those environments have had a lot of thought put into them about the style that they use around the aesthetics and the colours. And Leanne's investment into the physical facility here of the LG&Z building, which I'm hugely proud of. It was such a step up from where we were before. To make it look and feel like all of the content that we generate and promulgate from here is real, it's got to be authentic, because our customers, our communities, our councils and officers, the thing they really want to hear and see is the stories about themselves from officers that they can trust. And if we can create this authentic understanding or an authentic experience for them, that they really are seeing anyone from Lawrence through to any of the experts that we can bring along, talking about their subject with passion, and where the environment supports the story and doesn't detract from it or overwhelm it. I think that's a powerful way to start to build content, and the skills I see and how much Jill and the team have taken the webinar technology especially and moving it now forward into quite sophisticated pre-production and post-production capabilities. I just think it's really exciting in terms of expanding our content, expanding EquiP's offering, and really providing the sector with what is, I believe, quite professional grade content now, where they can believe not just in the production but really in the key messaging, which drives the challenge back to us as content creators, be it webinar topics or masterclass topics or any of the subject areas. For instance, in the Excellence Programme that we want to be really driving this year, is how do we create compelling content, and how can we actually ask and engage with our subject experts and councils that make them want to say, yes, we come on the journey with you because we believe in what you're saying, and we believe in what you're saying because actually subtly we've heard it professionally by how you've said it. It does demonstrate the need for messaging and using these channels to really convey compelling stories, and again it can just enhance advocacy's existing offering, and that might be thinking about some of the key messages and audiences that advocacy does a really good job of, and this is just another toolkit given the fact that the media platform is embedded, and again some of the topic areas for further exploration. I would love to see the knowledge that the sector has and the experts in the sector actually unlocked for the sector to access the knowledge that the sector has to fullest extent. I think it's an opportunity that this affords us, but I do think we have to treat it with some caution and a degree of sophistication, because I think it can descend into cheap and cheerful really quickly, and we could lose that sense of professional delivery that I think is becoming a real hallmark of what we do. So it's an opportunity, but I think we do have to be very aware of how we message and to whom. So that's a theme across all of it.